we're truly living now. We no longer
Yes.
have to worry about being dead, right? We will
Yeah.
be alive. And I am so incredibly thankful for the beautiful thing that the Lord has done in our life.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, it really takes me by surprise because we don't deserve it, but He gave us that as a gift, you know?
Welcome to the Rooted and Rising Collective, the podcast where faith and business meet. We're Joanna and Krista, two friends learning to build our lives and work, not on hustle culture or worldly success, but on the unique gifts God has given us. If you got 20 minutes, grab a coffee and join us. Whether you're a coach, consultant, or solopreneur, these conversations are for anyone who wants to stay rooted in Christ and rise into the calling He's placed on their life. And even just in knowing that, it's not, that's just like, how do I explain this? Like, you can know that and read that on paper, but living as though you've really received it is not, for me at least, was not simple, which is kind of where this whole thing, the identity shift and understanding what I'm truly given in this, what that actually means, what that means, that type of love, that type of like stepping up to what we're called to do. Like, it just changes the dynamic in a way that I've never experienced before. And it was hard. It's hard to, I don't want to say it's hard currently, but I will say it was definitely hard to just recalibrate my heart to that every single day.
That's a great word, recalibrating, because it can initially be hard, and also it will be a continuous difficulty when you are choosing Christ over the world. So it's important that we acknowledge that part. Jesus never promised it would be easy. In fact, He made sure that we knew it would be challenging and difficult, but it's worth it. So recalibration is going to be an ongoing, consistent thing at times, and it can change and shift what you're recalibrating because the old things and the former things have passed away. Those are not things that will more than likely stay with you when you're truly born again. But that doesn't mean temptation for new things. Temptations for things that you can think about and they can pop up once in a while, but that's just the enemy. So as a believer, we know, okay, it's time to go to war. gotta go to battle.
We know,
a spiritual battle, folks. Anybody listening, it's not to intend anything in a negative way.
Actual battle,
yeah.
But there is a spiritual battle.
We do want to make that very distinctly different. There is a spiritual battle, and
daily
important
for each one of our souls, whether you're a believer or not, whether that's polarizing to you to hear. It's a true statement. I believe it to be a true statement. I'll say that. I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but I'll say that I believe that's a true statement. I think that's so interesting, because we talk about recalibrating, and what I think of when I think of recalibrating, I think of something that once was and is getting back to that. That has been a very interesting, I'm kind of going off a little bit. I know we have some notes,
so you're taking it in a different way with recalibrating.
Yes and no. We are changed entirely, but at the same time, the more I am changed entirely, the more I find myself, for instance, when I was a young child, before I understood that life was hard, and I learned that lesson fairly early. Before I knew that, though, I was the child who followed the rules. And let me be honest with you, I'm still a rule follower. Like, that never changed. But I would follow the rules. I was sensitive. Certain jokes about people or things that were inappropriate. Like, I was always a very sensitive soul. I don't know how else to say it. I think that, I don't even know. I'll just, as an example, I think the word prude probably would have been used for me very much so. And I would have, after I learned that the word was hard, kind of rejected that, you know. And I just think about all the different experiences, you know. I, as a sensitive soul, I ended up embarking on a journey. I was in the military, you know, like I was doing things that were like hard and difficult and around people who spoke, you know what I'm saying, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I was absorbing it as if that was me and as if that stuff didn't bother me. And so when I think of recalibrating, sometimes I just think like, man, my heart is just becoming like more like it was when I was a child, and truly the way that I was created before the world just kind of like, and there's nothing wrong with it, but before the world was like, oh, that's boring. Oh, you're not laughing at my joke. You're lame. Oh, you don't like this TV show. You're lame. That's just how I have always kind of been. And so for me, like, I recognize the changes that Jesus has done in my heart as an adult, but I recognize me more. Like I see little kid me in those changes. If that, I don't know, that's a really abstract concept, or maybe it's not. I don't know.
I think I'm tracking what you're saying, and I'm following along with it, and I think it's beautiful because the Lord is allowing you to go back to that childlike belief and working through that and helping you become more in tune with the identity that he has for you now. And so you can go back, you can kind of nurture that situation a little bit and heal from that. And then now you can fully be who he needs you to become and embark on that journey. And I think that's part of what you're doing now. And I think it's beautiful and I think it's great. And I definitely appreciate you being vulnerable because that's not easy to do.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I love what you just said because I envisioned like you're going down the road and you take a detour and then you come back on and you're on the exact same road and you can finally make it to the destination because you went around all of these things, but you're back on the same road that you needed to be on the entire time. So, yeah, that's interesting. That kind of leads us into another topic that we had to chat about here. Kind of deconstructing and unlearning the stuff that society has told us. And I'm sure we could probably talk on and on about this. But is there, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but is there one thing, whether it's cultural, whether you were raised with it, is there just one? Let me rephrase that. I know there's not just one. Can you name one impactful thing that now when you're on this side of your journey, you are like, oh my gosh, that was so harmful. I believe that. Specifically in how women show up, business, work, specifically around that. Is there anything that just like deeply impacted you?
Yeah, okay. That's a really good question. I think the most important thing that I can take away from that question, I identified myself as worth and value from a worldly sense if I did really well in my work and had a really good job and could, have as much pay as, the men get paid and show up in the same capacity and do as much as they can do. Well, why can't I do it? Especially if it's an office setting. I'm not talking about manual labor. I don't even want to go, apple to apple there because we all know that men are created differently than female and I would not be able to do certain things that they can do and vice versa. So it's fair to say that we have our respective areas that we excel in. However, the lie that I, bought and believed for many years, especially when I wasn't living for the Lord and I was living for myself, I had to rise up and, work the corporate ladder to have self-worth. And I didn't need to worry about being at home and raising children and worried about being married and helping with the household. I wanted to do it all, but be independent and not, worry about those things. Let me tell you, everybody that's listening, I am so changed. My heart posture has changed on that. I am so incredibly grateful. I am thankful, and I'm trying not to cry right now with full of gratitude of tears because, and I might break down. To be able to be at home with my son right now, full time, and raise my boy, and to hopefully one day be a godly young man who will be an amazing father, amazing husband, and really care about those values and morals. I'm honored to be that. I bought a lie for so long that almost took those precious things away from me. And now the Lord is saying, you are obeying me and you're following me. And now I get to bless you because now you can reap the blessings that you've sowed. And so now I'm able to do something that I've never experienced before in such a way. And I see it. My son is happy. He's joyful. He's learning so much. He's just an amazing, incredible child. And there are some families out there that do not get to have this. They have to work. They have to put their child in daycare. They have to leave them every day to be able to provide a better life for them. I could have been that, and I'm grateful for where I am. And I don't want to take away from the families that have to go to work every day in a physical capacity. And I don't want to take away from the families that have to put their children in childcare. Those things happen. And please, understand the difference of what I'm trying to be gracious about and expressing to you. But that is what I'm unlearning and relearning right now.
That's it's a wonderful thing to get to learn, right? It's terrible that you have to unlearn the things that we're taught in order to learn that now. Or, I would say probably in the recent, that's something you probably learned. When would you say you finally started on that journey of learning that? Like, you think that's more recent than not? How much time do you spend believing the lie? That's the question.
I believed it for 20 years. 20 years of my adulthood life. And I would say late teens. Let me back that up. I believed it for about 20 years. And it's only recently in the last few years that I have really turned my heart posture around. I would say about 2019 to 2020 is when a lot of changes happened in my life. And I turned my life around for the Lord. And that is when my values changed significantly.
There we go. Paralleling. Joanna, I think you probably hit that milestone a little bit sooner than I did. But yeah, that's just a terrible thing. I just recall, I don't know why this is in my mind, and Don't Come For Me, I know it's a good song, but I think it was called Independent Women or something by Destiny's Child. And
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? I know I sang that thing. I can tell you all of these just cool songs that were so relevant when I was in middle school, high school, that really said hey, if you're not performing at the same level as, I don't know, I don't want to be too, pretentious here, but if you're not performing at the same level as a man ain't gonna want you. If you basically aren't a man but a woman, you're not gonna be I don't know, if you basically don't show up in the world and you don't hustle and you don't make all your own money, and don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying don't go make your money. I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. I'm not saying those things. I'm just simply saying that whatever lie was out there that, or maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe that's just me being cynical, and I just think that society placed that on us. I don't know. I think that's what's happening, but maybe I just interpreted it incorrectly. But I interpreted it as, Krista, go work as hard as you possibly can, have more to offer a man than they can offer you, and only then and only then are you ready to entertain marriage. Are you ready to entertain motherhood? only once you meet these certain markers, I don't know, I look at my life now and I love where I'm at in life. Don't get me wrong. So here I am now, I am 36 years old. And like I said before, like I'm happily married. I've been married for, oh my gosh, a whole year now. Very exciting. But I am 36 years old and I do not have a family outside of him and 2 dogs. So for those of you who are trying to
I was
read
going to
between the
say
lines,
he is your family.
yes, I do not have children. That is what I should have said. And like I there is an element of wishing I learned to critically think about what I believed in sooner, or maybe even just had understood and maybe had some guidance around really developing my beliefs sooner, because I heard this somewhere, but long story short, no matter what you're believing, like everything is a theology, right? It doesn't matter if it's like actual biblical theology or whatever it is, everything's a theology. So what I was believing at that time did not provide me the mindset or the space to understand the value in that. And so I know that God works everything out, for good, and for those who follow him, or in those who do what they're called to do for him. And I'm terrible at quoting scripture, so okay, there's that. But so I know I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I do know that there will always be a longing, not a longing, let me rephrase that, an awareness that I wish I would have understood a little bit more about the power of young people coming to their own and being confident in what they believe in, and not believing this whole like, you're too young, that's not what you need to do, you need to do this first. And don't get me wrong, it is important to like do what you need to do and figure out life, but I am on the other side of that, I'm a big very pro marriage, young, do it, have someone in your corner. I'm very pro starting a family, do it, build that up. I really just don't believe that there's any, you must do X, Y, and Z beforehand, because the same people who told me you must do X, Y, and Z beforehand are the same ones telling others, you're never going to be ready. I know you don't feel ready. I hear them say that same stuff to people who have just found out, like, oh, we're expecting and I'm so scared. And they're like, don't worry, none of us are ever ready. And it's like, you gave that same advice that you should wait until you're, so it's very interesting, right? It's just like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. A whole lot of no one knows, and people are just saying whatever they need to say in that moment, and they don't realize you're taking that stuff seriously, or you're taking it to heart.
Thanks for spending part of your day with us here at the Rooted and Rising Collective. We hope this conversation encouraged you to stay rooted in Christ as you rise into your calling. If it spoke to you, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you can grab a coffee and join us again. Until next time, keep building with Him at the center.